It's weird when you slice your thumb open one week, and then you get a tattoo on your arm the next week. It's surprising how little we realise that we need these parts of our bodies until we can't use them anymore. It's actually really eye opening. Not gonna lie.
Hello, and welcome to Max Level Games.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's installment of the Max Level Games podcast. I am your host this week, Mr. James Walters. To all those returning listeners, hello again. How are you doing? How's it going? How was the surgery? Did you get that job interview? I knew you'd do it. I'm so proud of you. And to all the new listeners, well, hello. This is a podcast where we sit here for usually around an hour. We can manage an hour at best, and we talk about games, films, TV, other stuff as well, just general news bits and pieces to do with these kind of subjects. We're on SoundCloud, as you can probably tell if you're listening on SoundCloud. For now, we're going to look into other avenues soon enough-ish. We're also on YouTube as well. If you're watching along, hello. You can see my not so pleasant face for this time of the day. And we also have a very active Facebook page, so if you are curious as to what we do on the regular, then go check that out, give it a like. It'll keep you updated with most of the stuff when there's not a podcast. That's facebook.com/maxlevelgames, no spaces, no capitals. So as I say, go check it out, give it a like, give this a like, give Facebook a like, give YouTube a like, give it all a like. It'll be very much appreciated, and we do appreciate every little thing we get. At the minute, I think we're sat at about 42 likes on Facebook and 6 subscribers on YouTube, which to most people doesn't sound like very much, but you know what? We will take anything we get because, as I say, every little bit helps. So, again, thank you all very much. The last thing I should probably mention as well, this is going to be a mature podcast. We don't like to sugarcoat things on the podcast unless those things are donuts. So you're going to hear some choice words from me here. As I keep saying, I should probably clarify, I keep saying us because, as I say, if you've watched previous one, returning listeners, you'll know there is usually another person here with me, but again, scheduling conflicts, work, man. Work is a bitch. He's got work, so he can't be here this week, unfortunately. But he'll be back soon. I don't know when. He'll be back soon, though. So don't worry. He's not gone. He's just not here right now. That's all. So, as I say, new listeners, Liam Malcolm is my co-host. So, but that's not the point. So the first part of the podcast, as we always do, is we talk about the games we played this week. And my week has been pretty varied, I should say. I've essentially got two of each category, I guess you can say it. I've got two things that I've played that are only demos for bigger games, obviously. I've played, to a certain extent, 2 other games, and then I've finished 2 other games, but those 2 other games quite small, so I'm going to go in that order for you guys. And it's also a variety of consoles as well, I should say. I finally dusted off on my Switch, because I bought that thing fucking, probably back in February this year. Really good price, second hand. And I've only played it for a total of about, 2 days? It's ridiculous. So I've dusted that off to dive into some stuff. So I've played a demo for one of the games that was at E3 being showed off that I was looking forward to. At least it looked really nice, and that was Octopath Traveler. It's already come out. It came out back in July. Excuse me. And it's so beautiful to look at, even though it's so simple. It's like a 2D pixel arty style old school RPG thing. It even plays the same way, but it's also like it's more 2.5D. All the characters are 2D sprites, but the world itself is just like it's broader, it's more open, and it just looks so fucking good. Like I didn't think a 2D game could look as good as this, but it fucking happened. It really did. I only played through the first bit of one character, the warrior character. What's his name now? Osric or something like that. I don't know. It's a strange sounding name. I only played a bit of his, the first prologue of his story. I didn't play the other 7 yet because there are 8 campaigns in this game, so it's a lengthy fucking game. I really like it. I like the combat. I like how it's both really simple and yet has its own complexities to get into. To give a quick example, it's not spoilers, so I'm not gonna go. It's not really spoiling how the game plays. So essentially, like in most RPGs, an enemy character will have a weakness. So in this instance, I was fighting bandits who had weaknesses to either sword attacks or spear attacks, because the warrior character can use swords and spears. So it essentially I'd use one move to swipe at him, and then I'd learn if that was his weakness or not, kind of like with most RPGs, as I say. But the difference here is they have like a shield system. So if you say they have a shield counter of 1, if you hit them with their weakness, that will break and they will be stunned for a whole turn, so you can get an extra turn in before they can attack. Obviously the numbers vary. Like eventually I got to like a bandit boss and he had like 4 shields. I was like, fucking hell. But that sounds like it takes a while to get them to get anywhere. But each turn, you get what's called a boost point, and you can get 5 in total. You can use up to 3 at a time. Or if you have 3, you can use only 3 at a time. If you have 4, you can only use 3 of them. Obviously, as I say, and that'll give you extra attacks. So if you say you don't use a boost, you get 1 attack. You use a boost, you get 2. Use 2 boosts, you get 3. Use 3 boosts, you get 4 attacks. Which fighting the bandit guy made it a lot easier. As I say, I'd save up my boosts, attack him with a spear, attack 4 times, the shield's gone, no turn for him next turn. Like I say, it was really enjoyable. It probably didn't look like I was enjoying it because I was sat in a car the entire time, but I really want to play more of the game. I'm curious as to the other characters as well and what their kind of stories are and how they play. I imagine the combat is similar for all of them, but they just have a specific class of weapon they're accustomed to. So, as I say, I'm looking to pick up the full game. It's definitely intrigued me to pick up the full game. I'll be doing that sometime this month. The second demo I played was for another JRPG called Shining Resonance Refrain. Now, it's a bit of an older title. It came out in 2014. I believe it's been on the PS4 for a while, but it came to Switch semi-recently. And I downloaded the demo for that. I was like, okay, I'll give it a quick go. And immediately, what I get when it gets to like, well, I'll say for one thing, it's a 3D game, not a 2D game again, and you explore the environments. At the demo I played, you were rescuing some prince guy, or just some bloke who turned out to have like a sort of dragon in him, and the combat is. The first thing that came to mind when I got into combat was the Tales games, because it's that whole motion of you have a set number, you have like a set bar or a set number of attacks, and you got to wait to reload and then do it again. So it's kind of like real time / turn based, or at least like waiting based. I think is the best way to put it. Except obviously in this game, rather than being numbers like it is in Tales or like earlier Tales games, it's just like a bar which you can spam a normal attack, you can have a special attack, which uses a bigger chunk of it. You have SP attacks, special attacks, so they don't use any of the bar, I don't think, but obviously they take away, like, MP points, so. But it wasn't a very long demo, but it was kind of intriguing to me. There was dragons involved too, so clearly it's a win for that, because there are freaking dragons. Like, there was a fire dragon, an ice dragon, an electric dragon. I'm pretty sure there was like a sand or earth dragon at some point in like a little montage trailer thing. So that's another one that I'm curious to pick up as well. What I do want to find out though is there. I tried looking on Amazon, the UK store, to pick up to view how much it's going to cost. And what confused me is there's a version of it with the cover that's on the Switch home screen, Switch tab thing. And there's another one, but that says English version, so I don't know whether there's a difference there or not. It doesn't seem like the other versions are not English version, but the one that specifies English is cheaper, so I'll look into that eventually. But those are the demos I played. I think they're both pretty good. As a fan of JRPGs, I definitely sit down and give them a go. Now, I moved on next to. I played a lot of VR this week. I've found a lot of games that have been on sale, and I've been playing them a little bit. So one of these 2 games that I've just played a little bit is Megaton Rainfall. Now, see, this is the funny thing. I have to go back on myself here and correct myself. Because a few weeks ago, when Liam showed me a video of someone playing this game on Oculus Rift, I was like, I like the look of the game, but I do not think it could work on PSVR because of, the sort of free motion you have with Oculus Rift, and the PSVR is limited by the camera. I've had this discussion before. So it does work on PSVR to a degree, I'll say that much. You don't obviously have the free motion like you would with VR Oculus, but there's the click turnings there, and there's also various settings where you can sort of turn your character while you're flying based on the movement of your head. So if you tilt it, you can do a tilt turn. You can just do a straight up look left and look right turn when you're flying. Now, what I didn't know when I was looking into it was I looked back at another channel on YouTube who does VR content called PSVR Without Parole. I recommend anyone go check them out if you're a VR fan. They're a great channel. They're great. They really get in depth in the games, and they give you the most honest opinion of like if it's worth buying a game at full price or wait for sale or not at all kind of thing. Anyway, that's enough of that. So what they said was the game came out a while ago, and I completely missed this, but it came out with only DualShock support, and that's how they played it the first time, and they fucking loved it. Only recently did it come out with a motion controller support, and then they were a bit like, it's not the greatest. I'd still prefer the DualShock over the motion controller, but I went into it with the motion controller because, as I say, I watched the video that Liam sent me. I was like, I want to fucking fly like Superman, because why not? And it doesn't look as fun. It probably didn't look as fun from the outside when you compare the Oculus video to the PSVR playing. I didn't feel like I was going as fast, or maybe it just looks faster on the video we watched. It's also very tiring, I will admit. Fucking, oh my god. You stood there with your arms out straight, which I can't really do now because there's a microphone standing in the way. With your arms out straight, holding the acceleration buttons to fly around, obviously. And obviously that's how you move throughout the entire game, so you've just got to keep your arms out the entire time. It's fucking tiring. I was making a joke with my missus about how much you use your arms in VR, you can always put like weighted bracelets on to like, work out while you're playing VR. And I was like, if I was to wear those with this game, I'd come out looking like fucking Chris Hemsworth, like Thor level muscles, because Jesus Christ. I probably played it for all of the first chapter of the game, or the first mission, should I say, which probably in hindsight took about maybe 30 minutes, 20, 25, I'd say 45 at a push, just to get used to everything. And fucking hell, I was like, oh god, I need a rest. That's enough. My arms are done. But it's still pretty interesting, I'd say. I'm curious to go back to it and explore it more. But at the minute, I'd say I think it's on sale right now. I could be wrong. It was on sale when I got it. It was like $6.99. So I'd suggest PSVR owners to pick it up on that sale price, because as I say, right now, without experiencing the full game, I can't say whether or not I would have paid full price, which I think was only about £15. But either way, that's still like, it's still a bit of a hefty one for me. Typically with VR games, unless I've played a demo of it, I'm like, yes, I really, really, really want to play this fucking game, I will pay full price, whereas I'll usually wait for sale. So, but I'm moving on now. So, the next game brings me no great pleasure to talk about. So I'll explain this. I'll give a bit of background context. I tried my hand at YouTube, fucking, oh god, it must have been 2014, 2015 now. I made about 100 or so videos, various things. I did like news videos, game videos. I did Lego builds as well, because I was really into Lego at the time. And I started a playthrough of Amnesia the Dark Descent on PC, which, my computer's not the greatest. It just about ran the fucking game, and recording it was even more of a strain. So, I explained to my other half about how this was like one of the scariest games at the time. It was so immersive. Everyone who was playing it was like terrified the entire time. And she's like, "Oh, great, put it on," because she for some reason wants to see me scared. Apparently, it's hilarious. So we did. I downloaded Amnesia. I was like, "Come on, we'll give it a play." We dimmed the room lights a little bit. We shut the curtains. It wasn't like pitch black, but it was pretty dark. And we sat there and played Amnesia, and oh god, it was not scary. I cannot lie though, it was very, very intense, very suspenseful. You see the monsters, all the stuff that happens is very like, oh shit, something's gonna happen, but nothing ever does. But other than that, I was just like, I'm breezing through these first like puzzles or challenges as they were, with no effort whatsoever. The monsters, I saw them appear, I saw them wandering around, and they were going the way I would need to go, as typical monsters do in video games. But as soon as I actually went there, they just disappeared, and I was like, okay, so are you gonna try and eat me at some point? Am I gonna have to run away? I mean, I kept my finger hovered over the run button all the time, just waiting for that moment I was gonna have to run like fuck, but it never came. We got about as far as for those who've played it, it's been out for a while now, so I can happily spoil this game. Although, as I say, I didn't play much of it either. I got about as far as like getting rid of the big fleshy gooey thing on the way to the refinery, but then we were just like, this game's not fun, is it? She's like, no. So we're just like, okay, we'll just turn it off. Let's leave it at that. So yeah, as I say, it brings me no great pleasure to say this because, you know, it's one of these, it's definitely up there in terms of like horror games, horror survival games that are out there, but I just didn't find it scary or enjoyable in the slightest. Maybe you have to be in a different atmosphere to play it. Maybe you do have to have like total darkness around you. But no, I didn't enjoy it. Which is okay because it was a free PS Plus game from back in like October. So I'm not bitter because I've lost money or anything. You know, it's just a case of, it's just a shame it's not as good as I thought it was going to be. Maybe it was just too overhyped as being utterly terrifying at the time. But upon playing it now in 2018, there are better games out there for being scared. So, but yeah. And moving on to the last two parts, these are two games I finished, and until I actually wrote out my notes for this episode, I didn't realise they were both made by the same developer, and that is Uber Entertainment. They're both PSVR games. I mentioned one last week, so I'll do that first. That's Wayward Sky. I finished that off. I was right. There was about 4.5 chapters of the game. How do I explain it? It is a point-and-click adventure game for VR, really. There was also collectibles to find as well. Like there were these little egg things that started appearing, which when you hit them with your light beam, unlocked like a character you could play, like a little. There's like an arcade machine in the hub area to have a little play on. I played it for like 2 seconds and then I got bored. And there's like wind chime things which are really awkward because as you go to pick them up, it sort of realigns it like backwards, so you've got to tilt your hand forward to then stick it up on the thing. I was like stretching in the air. It was ridiculous. But overall, it was actually pretty good. And I like the story of it. I think it's a nice, simple little story. The puzzles themselves were pretty easy. I only encountered a bug like once, I think. And actually, I had one game crash out of nowhere. And I think bugs-wise, yeah, I only had one bug where like it's been out for a while. Yeah, it's been out for over a year. I used the gauntlet thing you're given by one of the robots to control a worker bot, and I tried to direct him to one thing. He got stuck on the scenery and didn't move, and he would not move. I tried directing to other things, he still did not move, so I was kind of stuck there. So I had to reload the game for that, and then I think not long after that actually is where I got the game crash. But other than that, other than those few minor glitches, I do think it's actually a really good game. As I say, puzzles are really simple. They're not too complex. The most complex puzzles you get are like those like switch puzzles, which are like this. When you press this switch, it will activate this say power node and the two next to it, and you know various things like that. And you've got to light all the codes while in a certain space of time. There was quite a few of those. But I don't know about most people, but I kind of just solve them by just pressing things randomly, and it just happens to work. So there were just those. Those are the most annoying puzzles. Other than that, it was pretty straightforward. I think I came out of it with only missing a few collectibles, so they weren't that hard to find. It was just a case of, as I say, look in the corners where you're not allowed to, where your fixed camera is not letting you look. So yeah, but it was good. I paid about, I think I paid $6.99 for it, $7.99. It was on sale again, reduced from I think about £20, maybe £15. Definitely worth that price because it is quite short. I say it's a very short game. There is not really any replay value to it other than to get the collectibles. So, and as I say, about 4.5 chapters. So it really depends on what everyone else thinks is a worthwhile price point for a length of game. I'd definitely say, considering the price I paid for it, yeah, I'd happily say, yeah, it's a £7-8 worth of game because of the length of it. And the other game I played, as I say, same developer, I didn't know this, it's called Dino Frontier. I played the demo for this back on the PSVR demo 1, I believe it was, or maybe it was even 2, because it was that long ago. And I really enjoyed it because of how ridiculous it was. It was sort of like Age of Empires / Sims building simulator in VR, where you got to like pick up your settlers and place everything and build shit. But there was dinosaurs involved. It was like a Wild West setting, but dinosaurs were happily wandering around, and after you collect enough resources, you could train dinosaurs to do things for you. So I can't remember the exact species of dinosaur, but like there was one that would follow around my settlers that were chopping down trees to collect lumber. and it'd pick up the lumber for me, and it'd go into your inventory. There was another one that came along and picked up food. There was one that came along and like laid eggs all the time, so you'd have more food all the time. You'd get like a brachiosaurus at one point who would venture over to water sources and come back and water your trees for you, which, not gonna lie, it was essentially useless because you could just as quickly pick up the watering can and water the trees yourself to revive everything. So, but that was that's another game that's like it's got a fair length to it. You essentially build your own settlement, then you can go off to this mining area, which is like a tower defense section, to mine gold and silver to increase your resources. And then after you've built up enough of a team, like you've built up enough settlers, you even get a T-Rex at one point. You then go off to fight the Bandit King, who is the guy you're defending the mine against. Now I played this again alongside my missus, and because she loves dinosaurs, and I said to her when I finished it, like, okay, this game was going like full price at £30. Do you think do you think if I spent £30 in this game, it would have been worth it? And she was like, no, because I mean, yeah, it's sort of limitless in the fact that you can stockpile as much as you want, but as soon as you've beaten the Bandit King and unlocked all the settlements and all those kind of things, there isn't much more to do. In fact, we actually finished the game and platinumed it as well. There was only like 2 trophies we were missing. One was to level up a settler to maximum level, and another was to find all these little like pinata lock boxes, they were called, around the map, which basically had extra resources in. So, yeah, I paid like £12, something like that for it, which I think is a much fairer price for it. As I say, it's still a great game. It looks really good, that whole like cartoony aesthetic, and it's just a lot of fun to pick up settlers and place them around the place, and pick up all the wood to sort yourself out. I'm not a big fan of like games like The Sims, but this was pretty fun. And defending your base against bandits with dinosaurs and raptors and stuff was pretty cool. But again, I still don't think, because of the length of it and the sort of lack of replay, that it would be worth a full £30 worth of a game. So if this at all sounded curious to someone who has a VR headset and they want to play something like this, I definitely suggest picking up, but only at a reduced price. Do not pay. In fact, I'd even say if it came down to £20, I'd say £20 is like, it's a bit of a push, but it's better than 30. Because, I think of 30 as something like, well, like the Spyro remaster and the Crash remaster, or just when you get a general remastering of a game on the current gen systems, like the, what was it? The Red Faction Guerrilla, that got remastered recently. That's like £30 base price. I think something like that is worth the £30 because it is a very big game. Whereas this is just, it's fun, it's silly, but £30, I definitely do not think so. But as I say, that's entirely my own opinion. If you got your own opinion, please let me know. But that's it for games we played this week. So we're going to move on now to the news section of the podcast. So obviously, we talk about stuff we played, then we talk about news. So we're going to move on now to the news section of this week's installment. And now we're going to move on to the news section. Now, again, for those who are new to this podcast, we do news on film and television and gaming as such. But this week, usually the film stuff is a bit more than the game stuff, but this week was the opposite way around. Film stuff is quite lacking, whereas game news is quite heavy. So we always do film sections first, even though, as I say, it's usually the longer section, but we're still going to do it first anyway. So, film news. Well, we have a bit of Marvel news. I think the first thing we talk about more than anything else is the fact that out of nowhere, Entertainment Weekly dropped a whole lot of images of Captain Marvel. So we finally have our first look at Brie Larson as Captain Marvel, and not like all these leaked set footage where she's in this weird black and green suit. No, I mean full on red, blue, and yellow Captain Marvel suits on the front cover of Entertainment Weekly. And then, as well as that, there's like 10 or so images of the film itself. We see Jude Law's character as Mar-Vell. We see Ronan the Accuser, he's back as well. A young Nick Fury, and fucking hell, it looks weird. They're using that whole de-aging effect thing again. It looks fucking weird this time. Especially as well because it's Nick Fury without an eye patch. So I'd say go give it a look. But I think the biggest thing, well, at least the biggest thing out of this for me, apart from Captain Marvel herself, is the Skrulls. The fucking Skrulls have been revealed to us, and they look pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. They don't have the proper like the Thanos chin like they do in the comics, but I like how they look now. If you want to have a proper look at it, then I'll put up on screen for the people watching on YouTube. I'll put up on screen now an image of the front cover to show off Captain Marvel. But for those listeners who can't see that, obviously, then I'd suggest go along to the Facebook page where I've shared that front cover, as well as a link to Entertainment Weekly's website where they show off all those 10 pictures, and go have a look yourself because they look really good. Hopefully soon we're going to get a full-on trailer because that would be awesome. Other than that, we have nothing else yet apart from some images. But at the minute, that's pretty good. I'd say that's pretty fucking good. There were some people out there, I wasn't going to put this in the story, but there were some people out there who thought we were going to get a trailer for the next Spider-Man film during Venom next month. And I was like, are they fucking stupid? Like, really? Because, I mean, I don't mean it like that. I just mean, like, we've not even, until today, we've not seen anything of Captain Marvel. We've not even seen a trailer of that. And that's the next film in the line. So we're not going to see anything that's after Avengers 4 until Avengers 4 has come and gone, because obviously, and I know we usually say it a year, but everyone knows what happened in Infinity War by now. Spider-Man got dusted, so we know he's, at the minute, he's dead. Well, dead in quotation marks. So we're not going to see anything past Avengers 4 until Avengers 4 has come and gone. But that's my mini rant over. But at the end of the day, the point is we saw Captain Marvel, and that's amazing. As I say, go check out the full article itself on Entertainment Weekly. There's a link on our Facebook page. You can probably just Google it as well. But the next piece is more Marvel news, and that's The Punisher, the Netflix series The Punisher. I like series 1. I just thought it was a bit of a slow burn. When it got to episode 6 or so, that's when it really got into things, and I enjoyed it. Season 2 is actually allegedly already been filmed and is in post-production. It's going into post-production now. No idea yet on a release date. I don't think it's going to release this year, because so far this year we've still got Iron Fist Season 2 coming out tomorrow, in fact, the 7th of September. And then we've allegedly, I say allegedly because it was hinted at but never confirmed, that the next season of Daredevil's coming out this year. And considering there's only 3 more months left in the year, it's going to have to come out soon. Probably November time. So I don't think we're going to see Punisher Season 2 this year. Maybe early next year. If anything, I'd say the safest bet is that it's going to come out between Captain Marvel and Avengers 4. So that's my bet, but I could be wrong. We'll find out. But that's all there is to say on that, really. It came out, it's sort of come and gone with nearly a whisper. So that's quite surprising. And speaking of stuff that are coming and going, Doctor Strange Doctor Strange 2, apparently they're looking to start the filming early next year. I assume probably where they were going to start filming Guardians 3, but obviously, as we know, that is on indefinite hiatus. So maybe they're going to fill up that time. Maybe going to use up the production time frame with Doctor Strange 2. Benedict Cumberbatch has actually signed a new contract to star in the film and other roles as well. Apparently, I think Infinity War was what his contract used up, his appearance-wise, so he had to sign out a new one. Probably made a shit ton of money from it as well. So he's going to have a lot more appearances in the future, and obviously he's doing Doctor Strange 2 as his name's in the title. But yeah, that's starting next year. We're probably not going to see that for a while either, but, there's something for everyone. Now moving on we have a bit more Marvel news, but not the Disney side of things. Venom. Venom's coming out in, I think it's actually a month, or just under a month. I'm excited for it because I'm curious to see where they're going to go with it. Plus, Venom is my favourite Marvel villain. Spider-Man villain at least. In fact, no, fuck it. Marvel villain. I love him. I think he's brilliant, especially because he is that, opposite of Spider-Man. He's everything Spider-Man is, but bad. And that I think makes a good villain. Well, for the most part, if it's done right. Plus, Venom just looks cool. So, I'm looking forward to this film. And apparently a lot of other people are as well. It's by a sort of independent aggregational site, whatever you want to call it. They've ranked it as the most anticipated film of the fall of 2018. Now, it's not like an in-depth, proper study. I think they just got a bunch of people together, showed them the trailer, and went, are you excited for this, yes or no? And that's, they probably ranked it on that to say, yeah, people are looking forward to this film. But I think that's still, that still says something about the film. at the minute, it still hasn't got a rating like PG-13 or R-rated, so we'll find out hopefully soon, especially because, as I say, it's a month away and we haven't found anything else by now. But I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too. We'll give it a see how it is, and it probably will not feature Spider-Man, so everyone do not get your hopes up. And we still don't know who Woody Harrelson is playing, so I'm curious about that too. And the last bit of Marvel-esque news, well, second to last bit of Marvel-esque news. It's not really news. It's just like a how do I put this? I don't know how to put this, to be honest. Basically, the guy who wrote the god-awful Fantastic Four film from a few years ago has apologized for the film, saying, yeah, it was pretty bad. But I'm sure I'll take the apology, but at the end of the day, I don't really think it's his fault. I didn't know this till recently, but when a writer writes a script for a film, for the most part, that could be completely different from when the film actually comes out because of studios jumping in, other writers jumping in, the director jumping in as well, who are rewriting everything, editing things. So, I don't think the guy needs to apologize because maybe his original script actually was pretty good. I don't know, and obviously we'll never will know. I just wish that film would just let's tell you what, let's Thanos snap that fucking film and just everything to do with it because it was god awful. I hope we never have to deal with them again, and I wish they were in Deadpool so he could kill them off, but that's obviously another timeline. And as I say, unfortunately, yes, there's one more bit of Marvel news. So apparently Wesley Snipes, who, if those of you don't know, maybe a bit too young to know, he played Blade in some Marvel films. Probably early 2000s, I'd say. Maybe late 90s. No, early to mid 2000s, I think it was. He did 3 of them. He's been talking with Marvel recently on 2 different projects, and he says people should be excited for possibly Blade. But I feel like he might be a bit too old to play Blade now. I don't know. I've not seen how old he is recently, but I think of him as Blade from back then. I don't see him as being Blade right now, if that makes sense. I feel like if he was to come back, it could be as a mentor type character to a new Blade. I also don't see Blade as a film franchise anymore. I'd see it more as a Netflix show or what are the platforms are they on? ABC. I think they're on ABC, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. In fact, yeah, maybe bring him into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while. We've already had Ghost Rider in there. Bring out another fan favorite character into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Get some viewership there. And that could be Blade, but I don't see it being Wesley Snipes. But as I say, he says he's met with them on 2 different projects, so one is most definitely Blade. Don't know what the other one is. We'll find out soon, hopefully. But keeping with Disney, we're going to talk briefly about the Aladdin film that's due out, I think, next year. The live-action Aladdin film. It's in a bit of a bind at the minute. It's had some trouble. Apparently, Disney executives went to see a first cut of the film, and they were like, no. They do not like it in the least, and they've ordered the film to have reshoots, extensive reshoots, because it's apparently they just don't like it at all. They've asked for, apparently more Middle Eastern actors in it. I think they might have made a lot of white actors look more Middle Eastern as opposed to actually casting Middle Eastern actors to play these background characters. So that's obviously a bit of a touchy subject. And I think as well, I think one thing they do like about the cut is Will Smith and what he's done with the Genie character. Apparently they've asked for more of him. Give us more Genie because what you've done with Genie is actually really good. So that I just wanted to let you know that film's in a bit of trouble, and hopefully these changes will make it better. I'm curious to know how bad it was if they were just no, we need reshoots yesterday. But until we find out anything more from this film, like I say, screenshots, anything at all, we will not know. I know that what they do want to do is give it the same success that Beauty and the Beast had last year, because that made a shit ton of money, because it was actually really good. I know they want the same success with Aladdin, because Aladdin is just as beloved as Beauty and the Beast, if not more, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens with that. Moving on, we have some news that I've spoken to a few people about, namely my tattoo artist and the person who works in the studio, because they're fans of The Witcher, and me saying that is probably going to give away what I'm going to talk about. But, right, so we talked a few weeks ago about how Henry Cavill was he really wants to play Geralt of Rivia. He's actually a really big fan of The Witcher. He's read the books, he's played the games to numerous times, and Netflix is working on a series with of The Witcher. It's going to be a multi-season sort of thing. Hopefully they'll get it right and have a few seasons worth. And they've actually just announced that Henry Cavill is going to play Geralt of Rivia in their Netflix series. It makes me happy because, I feel like if they could cast anyone, maybe to most people, they don't look at Henry Cavill and go, yeah, Geralt of Rivia. But it makes me happy because he seems like a genuine fan of the franchise, of the character. He seems like he gets everything to do with it, at least. So I feel like if you're going to cast anyone in it, yeah, give it to someone who's like actually knows the series, who's actually a fan of the series. That could give you the best performance you're going to get. But I'm not the only one who thought this, because showrunner Lauren Hissrich, I think it says. She actually came out and said that, yeah, Henry Cavill kind of was the first choice for the role. Maybe even before he came out and said, I'd love to play him. She said, yeah, we'd love you to play him too. We could see you playing him. So season 1 is due to feature 8 episodes, but we have no release date just yet. I think they're going to start filming soon-ish, though, probably towards the end of the year when it gets to winter time. But that's all we have on for now. But that's, as I say, I spoke to some people who are fans of The Witcher, and they're just like, no. They do not like Henry Cavill playing Geralt of Rivia. Unfortunately, myself, I'm not a fan of The Witcher. I haven't played the games yet, so I can't really comment on the fact. But I don't know. I think he'd do well because, as I say, he's a fan of the franchise. So we'll just have to see on that one as well. Hopefully, we'll know some more soon. I want to see some proper images of him as Geralt, though, not the shitty, well, not all shitty, but some of the fan art has been featured previously of him as Geralt of Rivia. Oh god, it was just so ridiculous, especially that mustache, though. Now, moving on to the last 2 pieces of news, I'll do with TV. Supernatural is a series I'm a big fan of. I've actually got a tattoo on my chest of that whole pentagram, no demon possession thing. I think my first tattoo, actually, when I turned 18. They're on to season 14 now, which is ridiculous. That is a lot of fucking show. There's a lot of content. I've actually got a box set at home of seasons 1 to 12, and I was curious, so I looked around on the box to see how many minutes runtime it was. 11,111 minutes, which I was like, holy shit, that's 5 digits of ones. That's minute-wise to watch it, and I've actually nearly finished all 12 seasons already, so it's like, fucking hell. I've spent 11,000 minutes watching Supernatural, but it's a great show, so I don't care. Season 13 is due out on Blu-ray and DVD on the 1st of October, I believe, and season 14 is due to premiere, again, I think it was like the 7th or the 13th of October, sometime early October, but that's not the story here. The story here is that for a few episodes, not for a few, it says multiple episodes in season 4, we're going to be without Dean Winchester. Now, right, here's how things get complicated. I'm not up to season 13 yet, I've not finished it, but unfortunately, I know how season 13 ends, because of some absolute dickweed on YouTube who decided to put the thumbnail of the video as what happens and describe the title as what happens. So I know how season 13 ends, which is really fucking annoying. I'm not going to lie. It really aggravates me that I know, because I've not seen the lead up yet. I'm curious to see how it leads up to it, but knowing how it ends pisses me off. So I can see why he's probably not going to be in it for a few episodes in season 14. But at the same time, it's going to be interesting to see just how Jared handles things solo for a few episodes, and we'll find out obviously soon enough. I'm going to find out less time because obviously I've got to get through season 12 and 13 now. So yeah, I look forward to seeing how they handle it. I know for a fact that I'm not going to watch season 14 until it's done and then binge the fuck out of it, because I can't handle waiting on each episode as a viewer. I've been adopted into this mentality of fucking of like binge watching. It's how I watch TV now, is I binge watch. I can't. We keep saying every time we finish a season, could you imagine if we watched that live? Because fucking hell, I could not wait for next season after watching that. So yeah, that's what that is. But speaking of, the last piece of news is to do with TV, and that's Doctor Who. Doctor Who season 11 to be precise, when it's coming back with Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor. Yeah, 13th Doctor, or 14th, I guess technically. One or the other. Either way, season 11, it's coming out. And it's actually got a release date. It's actually got the day it's going to premiere, which is the 7th of October, which is a Sunday of all things. It's coming out on a Sunday. It's going to be a Sunday night show now, which is interesting. With the first episode called The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Now, I sort of powered through the Peter Capaldi seasons. Not because they were awful, but because as soon as Peter Capaldi came into it, I just sort of fell out all over the show and then binge watched them to sort of get up to date with it as he's turning into the new Doctor, Jodie Whittaker. So, will I watch this day one? Probably not. Will I go back and watch it when the season's done? Probably. I don't know. I'm just not as big as a fan as I used to be. It's sort of... A lot of people say this, but Tennant was my Doctor. Matt Smith, I thought he was good. He was a good Doctor. But that whole... Basically, the space between him being the Doctor and Peter Capaldi being the Doctor just sort of was on a decline for me. So, but that's my own opinions on the show. Obviously, people have different opinions and such, but that's just where I stand on it. But as I say, that is all for film and television news this week. So in a minute, we're going to move on to the gaming side of things. So yeah. And finally, on this week's installment of the Max Level Games podcast, we have the gaming news, which this week is pretty extensive. Or at least, it probably has the same amount of bullet points and stories and stuff. It's just some of them go into a bit more detail as to... compared to like the film side of things. So, start it off, we're going to talk about some stuff that's not to do with games, but gaming as itself. So, the first one is not very good. I didn't know about this until recently, but there was actually a shooting in America, like a few weeks ago, maybe last week even, in Jacksonville, at a gaming tournament. I don't know which game was being played, but it must have been to EA, because one of the survivors of the shooting is suing EA and the venue that held the tournament. He's also officially filed lawsuits against 8 potentially liable parties. He competed in the tournament, and was shot twice. So, he's lucky to be alive. He was taking 2 bullets, which is pretty ridiculous. He's suing them on the grounds that he claims the parties are liable due to negligence in not providing sufficient security measures, and also identifies the location for the tournament as, quote, a hub of dangerous, violent, and too often deadly activity. So yeah, I think we're going to start off with that. I don't know the full extent of the story to do with the shooting. I don't know what happened. I don't know about what the game was, why the shooter did it, if the shooter is still with us. If Liam's back next week, we'll talk about that in more extent, because I imagine by that time we'll probably have more information on this story. I don't really know how to feel about this. I feel like, yeah, they should have taken more security measures. Obviously, I think any sort of big gathering event should have security measures, even if it's something as ridiculous as, or maybe it's seen as ridiculous as a gaming tournament. Even it's something daft like a fucking Yu-Gi-Oh tournament in a local comic book shop should have some security measures, especially if they're gonna have like a decent chunk of attendees, because that's a lot of people there who could potentially lose their lives if, some complete psychopath walks in with a gun and is like, you know what, fuck y'all, use your fucking mirror force on this bitch. So yeah, I feel like yes, he is justified in suing them, but at the same time, I think it's probably like a bit of a reactionary thing. He's just looking for someone to blame, apart from the shooter. At the end of the day, EA and whoever hosted this gaming tournament didn't know this was going to happen. No one knows these things are ever going to happen, so it's a real shame that people lost their lives. And I feel like the person doing this lawsuit is probably just being quite reactionary. He's looking for someone to blame on this case, but that's just my opinion on the matter. I wasn't there. I can't say he's not justified in his grief. He genuinely feared for his life, and I don't blame him. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that for this story, because it's a very touchy subject. We're going to go on now to another story, which is no better. It's just not to do with death. So, but Sony for a while have been very, what's the word to say about this? Sony are being dicks when it comes to cross-platform play. They're being very defensive on the matter. They're flat out refusing to cross-play with some of the biggest games that are out there at the minute. I'm pretty sure they still don't have cross-platform play with Rocket League, which is a pretty big game. And they are still refusing to do cross-platform play with Fortnite. And we've already talked before about how they're even blocking people from using an account linked with PlayStation on other platforms like Nintendo or Xbox. Which, again, I don't play Fortnite. I don't like the game. I think it's just meh. It's not my cup of tea. But there are people who have invested hours into this game and have they probably even put money towards it, like microtransactions and such. They've put hours into this game and they want to take it on the go with a system like the Switch, or just go and play on a friend's house on their Xbox or whatever. So for them to not allow cross-platform play and to even block accounts is pretty scummy. And the reason I'm talking about it now is because we have a new statement on the matter. And oh god, it pains me to say this, because I make no secret of the fact that like Sony and PlayStation are my preferred platforms. I've grown up with them. I've always played PlayStation. I've dabbled in Nintendo. I tried Xbox, didn't like it. But I have to hold my hands up and say that they are being scummy right now with their stance on this. This statement I'm going to read to you is the most pig-headed, egotistical thing I've ever heard them say, and they need to sort this shit out if this is where they truly believe. So, quote, on cross-platform, our way of thinking is always that PlayStation is the best place to play. Fortnite, I believe, partnered with PlayStation 4 is the best experience for users. That's our belief, end quote. And, oh, God. I mean, you know what? There is a part of me that's like, yeah, I get it. They're a business. They look at their own platform as the best place to play any kind of game, yada, yada, yada. But to say that and to basically assume what all the players are thinking is just wrong. This is where they're venturing into the territory of being too big-headed, too egotistical in their approach to how well they're doing. I mean, yes, PlayStation is the console frontrunner. No one can argue with that. They've sold the most systems compared to the Xbox and Nintendo Switch. They are doing the best in terms of sales. But when you say something like this, that is just downright scummy. That is downright wrong. It's ignorant as well. The debate, as I say, they're speaking on behalf of gamers. When any company does that, needs to take a step back and look at themselves first. It's just wrong. It really is. It really bothers me. And again, I don't play Fortnite, but I know that if I did and I wanted to take my account, as I say, my main system is PlayStation. If I wanted to take it onto Nintendo Switch and play it on the go, I'd want to do that, but I can't. And again, it bothers me that people can't do that when they really want to. So, and again, I don't see any reason why cross-platform play should be a problem today. You know, gamers, the whole console war of like this last generation is dead. It is essentially dead. Apart from like the screaming fucking 12-year-olds who play on Xbox Live or PlayStation Network, who are like, PlayStation's the best, Xbox sucks, or vice versa. Apart from those idiots, the console wars are dead. People just play the games they want to play. You know, it doesn't matter anymore. At the end of the day, being a gamer is so much more inclusive now that this shit doesn't matter. So I don't see why the people who make these consoles and these systems and such can't get that into their heads. So yeah, that's my rant over for today. Well, not yet, but we'll see. The next story is to do with PlayStation again. It's to do with a sort of a semi-leak, take it as a grain of salt, to do with the PS5. There's been a supported list of platforms with Unreal Engine 4 released, and there's a system on there called Project Erebus, which people believe to be the code name for the PlayStation 5 whenever that gets developed. I believe we've heard that there are PS5 dev kits out there in the wild now, but that's not been confirmed nor denied yet, so we don't know about that at all. So again, grain of salt with everything I'm about to say. But Erebus is a Greek god, and he's the fifth and final Greek god to be born, which would line nicely with, again, the PS5, the fifth god, all this kind of thing. And plus, Sony has a history of using Greek gods or Greek terminologies to codename their projects. The PS4 was called Project Orbius, and the PSVR was codenamed Project Morpheus. So they have a bit of a history with Greek mythology. So keep an eye on that. You know, if something comes along called the Project Erebus, just keep an eye on it. But as I say, until it's confirmed, which I don't think will be confirmed for a while, grain of salt. Always a grain of salt. Now, what's not a grain of salt and what should be taken as absolute fact? I'm sorry to all the gaming shooter fans out there, but Battlefield 5 was delayed this week. It was delayed to the 20th of November. And some people are pegging this to the fact that people aren't excited for it. Maybe they weren't excited for it because of the window it was coming out. You had Call of Duty 4, Black Ops 4 coming out before it, and Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out after it. So it's sort of in like a window of mainstream appeal that's just it's not that caliber, shall we say, of appeal to combat these two players. So it's been delayed now into November. And one point is that the pre-orders for the game have been pretty low as well. Now that's not been said why it's an official statement. DICE have said out and come out and said that, quote, they're making final adjustments to core gameplay. So that's probably their like PR way of saying we're delaying the game because no one wants this game, but we're gonna release this game regardless. So the pre-order thing is just kind of like a point to suggest otherwise. But again, take that how you will. But there are rumours to do with Battlefield 5 as well, like during its release. So take these with a grain of salt too. There are rumours suggesting that the Battle Royale section of the game will come out for free, which is always a good thing. You know, free games are great. And another rumour that there will be a remastered version of Battlefield Bad Company 2 included as well. Now, I don't know whether that'll be like a pre-order thing again, or maybe as you buy the game, a digital deluxe edition even, or maybe just the fact that that'll just come out as is, remastered. I don't know. These are all just rumours, again, grain of salt. But what's pretty good for Battlefield 5 fans, at least, is that as of today, the 6th of September, you can play the beta for free. So jump on to, I think, whatever system you're playing on, and I think you can download it as of today, probably right now even, for free. So give Battlefield 5 a go before it comes out. So yay for you. I'm not going to do it, but yay for you. What I am going to talk about, though, is something that comes out tomorrow, being the 7th, and that is Spider-Man, Marvel's Spider-Man for PS4, and I'm so fucking excited for this game. I have a few stories to do with it right now. The first two are, in fact, no, I'll go in order of good to not so good. The good thing is they've announced that on the day one update, which will be live tomorrow with the game, there's going to be a photo mode included, and they showed off like a trailer for it to show the kind of extensions of what you can do with it. It looks pretty interesting. I'm probably never going to use it because I don't use photo mode, but for the people out there who will use photo mode, I'm excited for them because it does look really extensive. It looks like a really extensive photo mode, probably like God of War level, but it has also like borders and filters and little stickers you can put on as well, which look pretty cool. So yeah, that's going to be coming out on day one, which is obviously tomorrow. Reviews are live right now. They went live on the 4th of this month, 2 days ago. And as of recording this, it sits at an 87 on Metacritic. Most of the reviews I've watched have said, like, yeah, 8s, 9s, 10. I've not seen a 10 yet, actually. But 8s and 9s, it's proper up there in terms of gameplay. So I'm super looking forward to it. You better believe that tomorrow I'm getting straight down to my local game shop and I'm going to buy it. Unfortunately, I wanted to buy the collector's edition, but I was too late to pick that up, so I'm not going to be able to buy that, which is a nightmare. I really fucking wanted it, but I'll settle for the limited edition because it comes with a nice steelbook, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But we're going to have to get on to two news stories now that have they kind of bother me. It's kind of fans being reactionary again before the games even come out. The first one has been debunked now, and if I say puddles, you'll know what I'm talking about. Fans got into a row over the fact that they thought the game has been downgraded. Now, this is a discussion that's been going on for a while. They think the game has been downgraded from E3 graphics, which unfortunately is not an uncommon thing to be worried about. Think Watch Dogs back when that got shown off at E3 many years ago. That looked amazing at E3, but when the game came out, it was utter trash. I played the full game. I did not like it. I'm sort of very tentative to play Watch Dogs 2 because I've heard it's better, but the first one was awful. I did not like it. I even played it to completion just to say I fucking played it. So I understand people's concerns, but I don't think this is something to be concerned about. In fact, Insomniac have even said, like, because of the videos being watched of the new footage, the video compression makes it look worse. The lighting also changes it in games as well. So, like, you know, maybe when they played that scene, it was a different time in-game time during the day for that fight, but obviously recorded again, it's a different time in the day. I don't know the inner workings of game development, so I can't say with any certainty, but I will say that a lot of the reviews I've watched of the game so far, I've all said no, there is no graphical downgrade. I watched one yesterday from Gaming Bolt, who even said, we played it on a base PS4, which is what I have, And no, there is no graphical downgrade, so, cool your tits, it's fine. And the second thing that fans are getting annoyed about is DLC. Now, we knew for a while that DLC was going to come out. That is just a fact. They've said for a while they're going to release post-launch DLC. When they announced the Collector's Edition, they said, you will get a code to have the DLC upon release. We even talked last week about how there's a schedule already for the release date of the DLC. Black Cat is featured prominently in the first piece of DLC, being the heist. Now, obviously, fans were annoyed that there is DLC in the first place. Why not stick it on the game and do that? Yada, yada, yada. That's a whole discussion for another time. But people are mad now because we've seen how Black Cat looks. There's actually a small 30-second trailer to show off the first expansion called The Heist coming out in October. And people are mad at the new design of Black Cat because she has no cleavage. I'm probably boiling that down to a lot less than what people are actually arguing for here. But the essence of the beef here is the fact that she's been very desexualized. And to a degree, I can see their gripes. The whole point is she's a very femme fatale character. She's supposed to be enticing to Peter Parker and distracting him and all this kind of bollocks. And she's a cat burglar and yada yada yada. But at the same time, who gives a shit? At the end of the day, if she's a good character, if Insomniac's interpretation of Black Cat is going to be good and well-rounded and interesting, I don't give a shit if she's got boobs or not. No one cares. No one really cares at this, I hate to say, in this day and age, because that's a stupid fucking argument, but really no one does. The people getting mad over this are the ones who, grew up with Black Cat, who are used to this busty character with the zip down right between her boobs so you can see the best angle on the cleavage, as comic book artists have drawn her. But I don't see the gripe here. She's probably going to be the exact same person. She's probably going to be very flirtatious and enticing to Peter Parker because she's going to look attractive to him. But just because she's not got any cleavage on her anymore, that's not a bad thing. Okay? It's just a new interpretation of the character. So deal with it, is all I'm trying to say, is get over it. People are also mad at the fact that DLC exists, but they're also mad at how she looks. So really, these are the fans that I've been described as the vocal minority, and that's the only reason we're talking about them, is the vocal minority. They're yelling loud enough, but only a few people give a shit. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to talk about. Either way, the game comes out tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. I'm probably going to binge the fuck out of it over next weekend. By the time we do the podcast next week, I'll have hopefully finished it, and I'll be able to talk about it in depth. Not story-wise, but in depth, I'll go into it. So, but next we're going to talk about another game that I'm looking forward to, but this is more next year, and that's Anthem. Anthem is a game that was shown off a while ago. I like how it looks. I don't know if I'll pick it up on launch, but I definitely like how it looks. But I can say with absolute certainty, and with it brings me great pleasure to say this, there will be a demo for Anthem. And we talked previously how it was supposed to be like a pre-order bonus of the game. I don't know if that's still going to be in effect or not. I know the beta for the game will still be earlier than this date, but on the 1st of February next year, a whole 21 days before the game comes out, you will get a demo, a free demo of Anthem on the Xbox Live Marketplace, the PlayStation Store. There will be a demo for everyone to play, which makes me very happy. If I can get maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours worth of gameplay to play on this game, see how I like it, see how it plays, then yeah, I'll consider picking it up on day one. Otherwise, it's just a case of I'm relying on reviews because, maybe it's not the kind of game I go to, but it looks really good. So that's the story. There is that there will be a demo on day one, and another good thing to do with Anthem is there will be DLC. As that's a topic for another time. But the post-launch story DLC will all be free. That's hooray! There will be free DLC for this game. They're sticking to the guns on the fact that any expansions they give for this game are all going to be free. We're not going to have to pay for a penny. The only thing you're going to have to pay for will probably be like the microtransaction cosmetic style DLC shit. So that's all entirely optional. As long as those cosmetic things are just cosmetic and they're not going to give you like an extra weapon that's going to be stronger than something you can find in game. So if they stick to their guns on this, I think DICE and EA are going to have a great game on their hands come next year, but we'll find out. But speaking of, they're talking about, the executive producer, Mark Dara, has come out and said that Anthem will be, on day one launch, a, quote, complete package. It will have a, quote, complete story and a good, valuable game on day one. So when you put your full-on £60 down or $60 down on that game on day one, you are getting a big fucking game that's going to last you, but promises, again, quote, months and months of content upon release. That's what you're getting, which I think is great. It's a shame that we have to discuss this as... It's a shame we have to say this as news now, that's the kind of situation the gaming industry is in. A lot of games now are games as services, like your sports games and stuff, where you buy more stuff as it goes on. You put your price down for the full game, and then you're not getting the full game, which is a whole discussion again for another time. But I think this is a good step towards gaming better in the future. And they've also said that the content they're going to release after release of the full game will be weekly. They're going to give you weekly stuff, not monthly. So each week we'll get new stuff for Anthem. So yeah, the whole promise of months and months of content sounds pretty accurate so far. As I say, that comes out February 22nd next year. Look forward to that. It's also on the same date as Days Gone and Metro Exodus, I believe. Yeah. So, moving on. Bendy and the Ink Machines is an indie horror game that came out last year maybe. It took a lot of people by surprise. It is actually really good. It's in like 5 episodes, and the 5th episode is releasing on October 26th. The 26th of October 2018 is when we'll see the final episode of Bendy and the Ink Machine. I'm not playing this game, but I've been watching game theorists play it, so I'll be watching them play the final episode. I really enjoy the game for what it is. I'm just not going to play it. So yeah, that's for all the fans out there. That's something to look forward to. Now, keeping with shooter news, Black Ops 4. Black Ops 4. It's a very divisive game in terms of opinions because it's multiplayer only. There will be no single player involved. Mainly because they're going towards Battle Royale. And it's been recently confirmed that the Battle Royale maps or servers or however you want to play it, they're going to support 80 players as opposed to 100 players that Fortnite and PUBG support. There's also hints by the developer who talked about this news that there could be an increase to that number at launch or even in the future. They just said that upon they just want to focus on keeping quality of gameplay over quantity of players more than anything else, which I don't think is a bad thing. You know, it's good to have. If it plays better because there are less people, then fine. You know, I'm not going to play it, but this is just for those out there who will be playing it. So yeah, there are also going to be zombies as part of the blackout mode maps, which can be, quote, both a pest and a boom to your efforts as well. It's a shame Liam's not here because he'll understand this next piece of news. There's going to be vehicles as well involved on the blackout mode, including the Little Bird helicopter. So if you know what that means, I hope that's good for you. The beta will launch next week, the 10th of September. Should be launched in time next week, with the full game coming out on the 12th of October. So yeah. Speaking of maps and games and stuff though, Just Cause 4 is coming out early December this year. Just Cause 3's map was fucking huge, I thought. Just Cause 4's map is going to be pretty big. Although apparently it's being compared size-wise to Just Cause 2, which is also a pretty big map, but Just Cause 2 also had a lot of water-based areas, whereas the Just Cause 4 map that's been shown off is very land-based. It's still going to be fucking huge because you've got all these ways to get around. So, you know, I look forward to that, really. I'm a fan of Just Cause. I liked Just Cause 2. I thought Just Cause 3 was pretty good, just the load times are fucking horrendous. So as long as Just Cause 4 comes out with a lot better load times, and, you know, the map size is pretty good, all the ways to maneuver are pretty good, I'm going to be happy with that. And the last couple pieces of news here, apparently there's a Lord of the Rings MMO in development. It's very early in development as well, but it's been cited that it's going to be of AAA quality. It's going to have new lands, creatures, and people that fans of the franchise have never seen before. It's also going to come out on console, but as I say, it's in very early development, so maybe it won't even come out on PS4, maybe it'll come out on the next system. Maybe it won't even come out on the current gen. It might even make it to the next system, depending on how early in development it is. But this is something I've only just learned before recording this podcast. So, as I say, look more into it. More news will come out soon, but look forward to that if you're a big fan of Lord of the Rings. Also, Tokyo Game Show is coming up soon. I've heard Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to make an appearance, so hopefully we're going to get a new trailer there. And Kojima Productions are going to be there too, showing off, hopefully, more of Death Stranding, because even at the minute, and the semi-gameplay cinematic trailer thing we saw at E3 this year, no one knows what the fuck's going on still. It just looks like we deliver packages over Scottish Highlands. So, yeah, I just want to know more. I'm so curious at the same time that I'm just more like dumbfounded. It's like, what the fuck is this game? What are you showing us, Kojima? What are you giving to us? Show us more gameplay at Tokyo Game Show, and I'll consider picking it up when it comes out eventually. And the last piece of news is about sales and stuff. As I've mentioned before, and I've mentioned on this podcast as well, I'm a big fan of PSVR. I think it's really great. I enjoy it I enjoy it very much. I've actually got a few more. I've actually just bought a few more VR games on sale that I'm going to play soon. There are 2 new bundles coming out soon as well. I believe they're coming out probably this month, in fact. At the minute, we only have American price points, so take that as you will for later on in the news story here. There are 2 bundles being revealed, and I think they are both, as someone who's already played PSVR, I think they are both incredible value for their money. So the first bundle comes with obviously the PSVR headset and the camera, which is essential. But this first bundle comes with 2 Move controllers included in the box, a physical copy of the new Creed game coming out this month, the boxing one with Rocky Balboa and whoever Michael J. Fox, not Michael J. Fox, you know what I mean, whoever he played in the film. You're going to get a physical copy of that, as well as a download code for Super Hot VR, which, as I say, I've played that, and it is really good. It's also really hard as well later in the game. You have to properly, maneuver shit. It's ridiculous. So that's the first bundle. That's going to be priced at $349.99 US, which, as I say, I think if it was going to be that base price in the UK, that's a great value, because you can get a base PSVR headset, just like the set on its own with the camera, for $250 now, £250, maybe $300 a push. If you get a fucking PSVR Worlds bundle as well, that's $250, £300. Buying 2 controllers is usually about £60 to £70. Creed is probably going to come out at about 20, 25, maybe £30, and Super Hot VR is about £15. So if you look at that in as a whole, you are saving money there, and it's a great bundle. The second bundle does not come with the VR Move controllers, but it comes with the headset and the camera as per. But it comes with a physical copy of Astro Bot Rescue Mission, which is a game I'm kind of looking forward to as a VR game, and a download code for the game Moss. Now, obviously, what you'll notice here is the first bundle is focused on the Move controller games, whereas the second bundle is focused on the DualShock controlled games. I've played a demo of Moss. I think Moss is really good. I'd like to play Moss. I just wait for that to come down in price as well. As for Astrobot, you can play a sample thing on the Playroom VR, because that's where they've taken a game from that and expanded upon it in a full release. So you can play both of those now if you wish. And that's going to come out at around $299.99. Again, if that was to come out at the same price in the UK in pounds, £299.99, basically £300. I still think that's pretty good value for money, because I don't know how much Astrobot's going to launch for base price wise, but Moss goes for about £25 to £30 now. So yeah, I think they're both great value. And as it was actually pointed out on the site where I got this news story from, Black Friday's coming out. Black Friday's coming in November. And there'll be loads of sales for Christmas and stuff after October. So you could even pick up these at a reduced price than what they are listed now. So, but either way, I'd suggest getting involved with it if you are a PlayStation owner, because VR is actually really good, and the library for VR games now is, I think it's around 300 titles plus, which is ridiculous for VR. So it's definitely worth the investment, in my opinion. But as I say, if you already have VR, you don't need to bother with these bundles. But if you don't, I'd say give them a look. Give them a look if you're a PlayStation owner and you've been curious about VR. I've had mine now for the last 9 months, and I love it. I think it's brilliant. So that's just my opinion on the matter, and that is the end of the news and the end of this week's podcast. Thank you all so much for listening. It's been a lengthy one. Well, I say lengthy for just me on my own. So, thank you all for listening on SoundCloud. Thank you all for watching on YouTube. I do appreciate every single view, every single like, every single thing you do involved to help us support us. We appreciate it, every single thing. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next week after I've played Spider-Man all fucking week, and the game, everyone just lost it. You, me, everyone listening has just lost the game. And bye-bye. bastard. Oh, I have to be exceptionally fucking careful this week because I got some fresh ink. Some new ink. Anyone who's watching this can see just the ink there. It's on the bend though, so it fucking hurts. Like exceptionally so. So yeah, that's a thing.